government should review. Of course, we had Professor Ndungu say, if you touch anything, you distort the revenue collection and everything. We are here to convince you, our dear friend, Professor Ndungu, you can review some of these taxes. And instead of having your revenues going down, this is our submission, you will go even to the optimum level. You'll be able to raise so much. Kenyans will willingly give, but not when you have 20, I think, how many items. You'll be hearing from Honorable Eugene Wamalwa on the number of some of those things. And then G to G. This story about Uganda, Davis, did you not think even within the framework of East African community, because whenever ministers of finance of a community present their estimates to Parliament, they do so actually on an agreed date. Therefore, in the spirit of regional integration, Uganda is a very important customer to Kenya. If I'm now hearing President Museveni saying, okay, he's going to borrow your G2G effort, but he's doing it with like a pained situation. Did you consult with Uganda before you went on your G2G arrangements? Those are some of my earlier my comments, and I think, I don't know.
Thank you. I have yeah.
Yeah. We'll hear HASSAN Omar, and then we can hear Eugene.
Thank you.
To the contrary, Excellency, and Chief, I'm a big supporter of the G2G, but just with some minimum qualifications. I just wanted to know, I know that the payment is after the lapse of the 180 days through a staggered system. My question is, at what point does the G2G framework lapse? You now have to pay the entire sum. And number two, are the prices hedged by any chance? Because yes, if today the prices are going up, there's a likelihood that they might also go down. I remember when I was sitting in the investigations on Kenya Airways, one of the things that was said to be fatal in the Mawingo plan or in the operations of Kenya Airways was hedging of the fuel prices. So the prices hedged. Number two, you might not have mentioned it directly, but you had mentioned it somewhere that there were very oppressive PPAs, power purchase agreements, that had been signed by certain producers of electricity. Is it time we bit a bullet and be able to bring some of them to either a close or to termination? And I know that sometimes the worry of governments is always the liabilities that come with that type of drastic action, particularly the fact that we have a very robust court and many investors look at Kenya.
Without interrupting you, Hassan, you're referring to independent power purchasers or producers, right?
Yeah, PPAs.
Because that issue is also, in fact, I wanted Bill Lokero also to deal with it, but please continue.
Yeah, so and then I overhear this whole issue about investment here, investment there, investment here. We are building this, we are building that. Will all these investments ultimately bring down the cost of electricity? There is a large allegation that the KPLC is owned by a certain mother of ourselves, and she sells this electricity very punitively to us. So I think if you might be able to address the supply chain, but in terms of now the demand, will you be able to enjoy more affordable electricity or cheap electricity? Hinga, the Excellency will tell you that I've been your biggest proponent here, very passionate about the housing agenda, because it's part of our social contract to give dignity to our people, and I heard you allude to it. You know, the irony is that in Kenya, as we create wealth, we must also bridge the gap to ensure that the dignity of the poor is improved. So we cannot just be saying that we wait for the economy to improve and that's when we start to build houses. We must do both simultaneously or concurrently. But I just wanted you to clarify that this money is not actually for building houses. You're actually facilitating private investors to build these houses. All you're doing is to be able to do some bit of market risk, to take a part of the market risk, and number two, to structure affordable mortgages using the housing fund so that you can be able to have more Kenyans access these housing at affordable rates. Rugo, for you, I just had one question. I totally, actually, I comment everybody agrees with you. And some of these opaque contracts are those like the Mawingo plan and the KQ. We are paying a certain bank. The Mawingo plan was designed to bring Kenya Airways down to benefit a few people. I think, what do you think is the sustainability of the government of Kenya? Why do you think Professor Ndung'u still has to pay for it when we know where the travesties were? We know who is benefiting. We know who the leader of that criminal enterprise is. Why are we still paying for the liabilities of a single person and a single individual? So I think I wanted to hear from you, what would you advise our government in these very important economic times to do, to keep Kenya Airways paying its debt, or to keep Kenyans a bit more engaged in terms of their day-to-day life issues? The last one, I think I don't have much of a question to Bill. I always read his comments, and to a large extent, I actually do agree with you. And that I am, in particular, as much as I am a member of the Kenya Kwanza government, the KNTSE was a total fraud. It was supposed to be about market stabilization, and then the KNTSE ends up selling products more expensive than the market itself. So I'm hoping that the investigation will be done, and those responsible in distorting all these market prices and putting Kenyans into such loss will be taken to book. I think those are some of the kind of things we must stand for. But the last one, Professor Ndung'u, I think what I flagged in this whole discussion with the cost of living were two issues. Apart from our imports, is food and fuel. And fuel is tied to the dollar. And I really liked your idea about the nominal exchange rate in terms of having an automatic stabilization. But what we hear is that people are holding on to these dollars. There's no dollar deficiency in the market. I'm told by the economic team that there's $8.5 billion in the Kenyan market today. But because you have let the market take charge, so I can hold on to my dollars. I also have a few dollars these days, and I hold on to them because I know what was at 138 a few months ago is now even I take loans from friends on Kenya shillings. I know that as the dollar strengthens, I'll just liquidate my dollar account and pay them back. So what will you do? But there are not many, so it's not comfortable.
No, go back on it.
So
I have a few dollars, which is on the lower side.
Yes. So if I am thinking like that, what of others who have a larger cachet? So you've left it to the market stabilization, automatic stabilization, but then you're not doing much to ensure that those people with dollars put their dollars in the market, so that at least the rate of the dollar is mitigated. So as we leave it to that free flow, we must also make sure that we put in some minimum regulation to ensure that those with dollars are able to put them into the market, or to ensure that the rate is stabilized at a certain point.
Well, thank you. We gather that Bilo is requesting to be released by 2 o'clock. I think we can allow you when it comes to answering first. Yeah. But let us hear Eugene.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think to the CS National Treasury and CS Energy, we've been sitting here for, I think, over